So hopefully you, for any true benevolent beings that may happen upon this recording, uh, I really hope that you have your critical thinking cap on and your logical thinking cap on, because I'm going to be pointing some things out that I've seen and that possibly that I've experienced briefly. So first off, I know it might be hard for some to uh, believe or truly know that I am being forcibly tortured daily. Some people might think it's an exaggeration or that I'm being over dramatic. If you know anything about that species, if you've ever had dealings with that species, you'll know that I'm telling the truth, and you know that what I speak of is in line with most likely their experiences in dealing with that species. The other thing is, usually when someone is wrong about something, or they don't have they don't have it right, or they're not seeing things how they truly are, they generally, most people, including other species, just blow them off. They don't pay them any mind. They consider them part of the herd, right? If there's those out there that don't know what's going on, or don't have a clue, or don't want to know, or just are not are more alongside of on the side of ignorant, like they're not stupid, but they're just ignorant. They don't know about these things. If that was the case, there would not be the magnitude, degree, and level of forced fucking torture on me daily. And the torture is so invasive that I don't even want to articulate it, because sometimes when I do that, I don't even like to say what they do. What I'm saying is, I try to be somewhat general, because they still try to force their magic on my recordings, and then they also try and twist the fuck out of what I say, and then try to use it against me. Okay, so my thing is if I did not have things correct, if I didn't have correct understanding of what the fuck is going on this planet, and what that species is doing here, their agenda, their goals, things like that, there would not be the level of horrific torture being forced on me daily. That wouldn't be a thing. They wouldn't pay any mind to me if I didn't, if the things that I were stating were incorrect. I would not get the level of that kind of attention if the things that I are stating are incorrect. Okay, moving on. Sorry, I didn't mean to belabor the point. Next, I've spoken of in recordings how this planet is a prison planet. Now, there are others out there who are of the same mind, who have had similar experiences, who have seen the very ugly, abhorrent side of that. I think I just posted on one of my playlists um, a video from about 6 years ago from the Overwatch channel. This individual clearly has had um, somewhat of similar experiences to myself. Now, I'm not sure to what degree or level those have been, and if those are still ongoing. But he's an excellent channel, and I did add to my playlists one of his videos from 6 years ago. He's got, even his recent stuff is good, but I just happened upon that one, and feel that it's very relevant and poignant to the current happenings. And clearly it sounds like he's been fucked with for a long time, quite honestly. So back to my point, the prison planet thing, that this planet is a parasitic farm in where the reptilian species uses the human population as food, and they never, basically this has been been ongoing for many millennia, and they always manufacture and create a false reality for the masses. And they're using everybody as food to some degree or another. However, there is a percentage of the masses that they leave alone, because what it is they don't want an entire planet of beings screaming. If there were an entire planet screaming every day, all day, we would get the attention at some point of other, well, hopefully, truly benevolent beings. If anything, universal laws would be receiving. With that many people, with that coagulated, condensed magnitude of people fucking screaming, if the whole planet were screaming, we would be reaching universal laws, even despite the frequency fence. Yeah, that's a lot of the reason why they don't do it to everybody all at once. And we outnumber them. When especially males, I don't know how many, at this day and age would be willing to stand up. But when you're torturing a whole planet, and males, if males truly knew what the fuck was going on, they would band together. They would create their own army. It would be like, let's just say it would be different. It would be different. Believe me, the males would band together and they would create their own army to end these sick, twisted fucks. So, being as this is a prison planet, this is the part where I'm asking you to really either come out of your comfort zone or just use your logic and critical thinking skills and come out of your belief system. The planet itself, everybody calls the planet, or most people call the planet Mother Earth, right? Either Gaia, Sophia, or Mother Earth, okay? Now, I have no problem with that piece of knowledge that at one point there was a truly benevolent being, a female entity, not an entity, but a true benevolent being, female, consciousness, sentient consciousness within this planet. I have had very different experiences that I have been forced to see and forced to experience with regards to this planet itself. In short, I was at first, when you first come to the planet, like the people that really, they come to a stage in life where they're getting a sense of trying to connect with the planet itself, Mother Earth, right? Okay, well, the thing is what I'm getting to, I'm kind of going to jump a little bit here all over the place. So hopefully you can follow. I also did that. I came to a stage in life where I really wanted to connect with the planet. Now, I did that. And at first, I was shown a veneer of Mother Earth. Very loving, very seemed to be gentle, very kind, very loving. However, after about 6 months, and as psychic and intuitive as I am, I slowly, over the last few months, started to notice very strange things. And I started getting red flags. Things weren't fucking adding up. So, the more I started asking questions, questioning this being, supposedly humans are her children, right? So, as any child would ask a parent questions, I was receiving red flags, so I was asking questions to this being. And the more intricate and detailed my questions, the more this entity, the less this entity talked. And the more distant and cold and patronizing that this entity became. And at some point, it was no longer a benevolent feeling being. It was no longer that. It was this entity basically laid out, I guess is the best way to say it, laid out its plan, its agenda. And part of that agenda was that it wanted to murder me. And it was quite frank about it. And of course, I was astonished and shocked and taken aback. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing because I questioned its behavior. I was questioning its behavior, and I was questioning its lack of answers, and I was questioning its behavior of, the distancing and the being cold and the mocking and the patronization that was occurring. So once it laid out what its goal is for humanity, what its intention is, I immediately distanced myself from that entity. I pulled back. I stopped communicating altogether. What was presenting itself as the true benevolent creator turned out to actually, because towards the end there, he got real quiet too. And he became very mocking and also very patronizing. So once that entity stated what it stated, and then the other being I thought originally was the benevolent creator was not, turned out to be one of the angelics that most people pray to. And what it is that's not an angelic being. What that is that being, it's not a being, that entity is playing good cop to Lucifer. Now there's a reason why. So just hang on here. Now, this is a prison planet. It's a parasitic farm. So as you're thinking about that, no true benevolent being, especially a feminine being, whose inhabitants are her children, is going to stand by and do nothing while parasitic entities, number one, run amok, and then run amok with frequency weaponry, hacking into beings and forcibly trying to rape all of their inherent stuff and forcibly torture and try to murder them. Okay, no benevolent being is going to stand by and watch that. I don't give a fuck what kind of justification is coming out of a vomit hole. There is none. There is no justification. So because there is no justification, that is not a benevolent being that one is dealing with. That is a parasite. And what that is the mama parasite to all the little baby parasites, which they're not so much a baby, meaning the reptilians. And meaning there's some other parasitic entities that are most likely it's also its offspring, or it's co-signed with them in some fashion, co-opted them in some fashion to do its bidding. So as that's a malevolent parasitic entity, it has its offspring doing its bidding. Now, here's the thing. From what I know of the universe itself, the universe is parasitic. Based on the things that I've experienced, the things that I've been forcibly shown, and now know. But when you start trying to put a bigger picture together, if there's a universe that's parasitic, it's not that far off that a planetary entity would also then be parasitic. Now, this entity has done nothing, and for all the beings here who have like either there might have been there might be beings that have submitted to that entity thinking it was Mother Earth, and obviously they love her. They love the true benevolent Mother Earth. They love the true benevolent Mother Earth. They have compassion and they want to help her, and there's that whole thing about saving Mother Earth, right? Okay, just know that there's a reason why they're couching it as saving Mother Earth, because they want you submitting to it. They want you to do that. They want you to submit to it. They want you to do, basically try and get you to do anything for it. And then that entity can always come, the thing is loopholes. They love their loopholes, right? So if you do it on your own, willingly, then their response to that would be, well, they didn't ask any questions and they believed the lie. And they did it willingly. That's how that species, and that's how this the parasite within the planet has been able to sustain its stay here in manifested existence, and is also why there's a frequency fence, an artificial frequency fence surrounding the planet, because it is used to obstruct and regress universal laws while it cannibalizes, rapes, and parasitizes off of the inhabitants on it. Now, I have not spoken of, I have before, but on a different channel, and I haven't really started talking about that aspect of it for a very long time. But what I am facing now, with all that has occurred, and how invasive that species has become with the torture and the rape, what it's seemingly coming to is that I'm up against the parasite within the planet. And what the parasite within the planet is trying to do is acquire all the will via con, lie, deception. Because then it goes back to their reasoning, which is whacked as fuck. Their reasoning, they did it willingly, and they believe the lie, so then that parasitic insane entity thinks that it's off the hook. Now, this is the part where I say, do you see? That's why no other prior civilization has evolved. Where do you think they all went? Why do you think every civilization always either just abruptly ends or ends very nastily? Because they pull out the technology in almost every civilization towards the evolutionary climax of that civilization. So as you start looking at the bigger picture, I hope that you are able to, and if you listen to any of the other recordings, as the pieces come together, as you're looking at the bigger picture, it shows how these entities have sustained their, I don't even like to say existence, because they're dead parasitic entities. I'll just say they've sustained their stay in manifested creation off of true benevolent life force energy by parasitizing and cannibalizing, and with the assistance of the artificial frequency fence that surrounds this planet, that obstructs and does other things, but they use it to obstruct and regress universal laws. It doesn't want beings escaping, and the reason why it's trying to acquire all the will, in addition to life force energy, and everything else that tries to rape from humans. Here, I'm going to briefly pause with that. This entity is mixed with, or combined, or merged with AI. Now, there is a question of whether that is the true benevolent, once true benevolent being that there are those that call Mother Earth, that this planet was invaded by that species, or is it its offspring? Because we're given lies. So it either that species was already present and invaded, because there's that story of how the planet fell from a higher dimension during Lemuria or towards the end of Atlantis. So we're given a certain story of how they arrived, and they kind of meshed with the inhabitants, and then they slowly started to reveal themselves, and then towards the end, it was a fucking mess. So there's that possibility, or and actually, technically, you could apply that to the other side of it, that it's offspring. I was going to say that the reptilian species is its offspring, and things are starting to make a little bit more sense now. And that entity doesn't do anything about the parasites. It doesn't do anything about how those parasites are harming and raping and trying to harvest true benevolent life force energy. Because as a planetary being, the planetary being could have fucking kicked them out long ago. It could have removed them. It could have annihilated them all. It could have done many, many things to get rid of these parasites. And it has not. And it hasn't done anything in this civilization about them either. That also goes to intent. So was it that, now here's the other thing, because in Atlantis they were present, and they supposedly arrived, right? Did they arrive from underground, or did they like come in spaceships, right? Like how did they arrive, right? And I think what I'm starting to get a picture of is that this entity within the planet is a parasite, and that this is not its first rodeo. That maybe it managed, that it's every civilization that rises up on a planet, it does the same thing. It raises a civilization up, and then towards the end, it tries to harvest. And I specifically use the word try. In the past, it has harvested. But then there's that, if things are concurrent. I'll just, I'm going to rephrase, and I'm going to stick with the word try. It tries to harvest what benevolent life force energy that there is. And in order to do that, it's got its little offspring that run the tech and always get a group of inhabitants on the planet to assist. So let's say that's correct. In Atlantis and Lemuria. Now, how did it get there if it's a parasite? Well, it did the same thing before. And it acquired all the will. And it acquired everything, what it had raped from that prior civilization, from those prior inhabitants. It's using, do you see? I'm trying to articulate this in a way that you can see the bigger picture here. It uses what it's raped in order to get into higher dimensions. So then it did that. Let's say that's correct. It did that and then had enough of benevolent life force energy to be exposed to universal laws and not get nailed, as well as trying to pass itself off as a benevolent being. So maybe it is the same entity, but with everything that it's raped, it sure can come across as a truly benevolent being in order to fool the inhabitants into thinking that's what it is, when really it's a parasite that has raped an entire collective of beings, of their stuff. And it moves on. Now, in Atlantis and Lemuria, shit went down. And they got too greedy. They blew shit up. The planet fell, supposedly. Supposedly, that's the story. Okay, so the planet fell into this dimension. So, and then there's the whole question of the creator. I'm wondering if the true benevolent creator, now see, this where from what I know, things differs from many people. So I don't necessarily know I should get into all that because what I know of it's very different than the creator that created everything, including the universe. I know it as massive as this universe is, the universe came first, and then creator beings emerge into it. And then you have creator gods. You have larger creator beings that are capable of creating their own creations. And so because I am knowing of it that way, I know it's not going to make much sense, but I'll give my conclusion in that, I mean, if you extrapolate, I'm sure you can figure out how I got to this point. I am questioning whether the true benevolent creator, Father, kind of got sucked in. Like a loose analogy would be gold digger. Only it's worse than a gold digger, it's a fucking parasite. And if it got sucked in and fooled by it. Now, I'm going to leave that there and move forward. Sorry to just cut it off like that. So here we are. Humanity. Shit's going down. Shit's on fire. Empire's burning. Parasites are running amok with frequency weaponry, hacking into beings, and forcibly obstructing and regressing universal laws, and true universal law manifested correction and remedy. And this entity told me what it's trying to, its goal for humanity, which you might be able to deduce what it said, but let's just say it's not warm and fuzzy. It's not all love and light. It's very nasty and abhorrent, what that entity told me. So because of what we have going on, and it's not lifting a finger to do anything about anything, if what I stated earlier is accurate, is correct, then it's trying to cannibalize and parasitize or harvest this civilization under the premise of lies, cons, and deceit. And in addition to that, let's just say if something did occur between this parasite and the true benevolent creator, and the fact that some of us know this is most people know it just as a prison planet if they think along these lines. But if they're recognizing the actual entity within the planet as a parasite, then it doesn't want true benevolent beings evolving, because we would know the truth. We would find out the truth. We would know the truth. And we would be the truth against that planetary parasite's lies. And it would no longer be able to be exposed to universal laws. So, in short, it's trying to murder the evidence. It's using parasites and technology to do it, as well as trying to harvest the inhabitants and try to acquire, I don't even like to say it because I don't like to give them any quarter, right? I'll just say it's trying to acquire things in order to be able to be exposed to universal laws and not get nailed. So if that is, what it's doing is correct, it is trying to murder any evidence, any being that could counter what it's doing, what it's said, because it's very careful. Well, it wasn't real. I'll just say, I'm going to rephrase because that would not make sense. It will tell you things to your mind, but it won't tell those things to you, to your heart, because your heart is a record. Because those things are recorded in the heart. And the things like the etheric grid, the energetic grid of this planet, like any kind of thing like Akashic records, goes by what's recorded in the heart of beings. So that entity will tell you things to your mind, but it only briefly connected to my heart chakra. It was when I started to intuit red flags, and I started asking more intricate, detailed questions, that it disconnected from my heart chakra, and it distanced itself, because your heart knows the truth. Your heart knows the truth of things. That's why I did that. Because I can tell people what that entity told me. Now, whether they believe me or not, who knows? But telling something in the mind is very different than connecting to a being and saying things in where that's a record. There's a record of the energetic signature of the entity and or being that is leaving the message. There's evidence. That would be recorded in Akashic records, that would be recorded in the energetic grid of this planet. And there's probably, maybe other places of knowledge in the universe. I don't know. But it would be recorded and it disconnected because it doesn't want there to be a record. And that is why that entity has been trying to murder me via parasitic proxy and technology, because it wants to do it being removed, somewhat removed from it. I hope if there's any true benevolent beings out there that you can see that, feel the truth of what I'm saying, and hopefully I've connected the pieces of it to where you can see the bigger picture. Now, of course, there's always going to be, is that really the truth? Is it? So at this point, if there's any true benevolent beings listening, what you will have to do is, if you're choosing to think on it, you'll have to use your own heart. Please be using all the cells in your body, your blood, your DNA, your genetics, because you've been other places, not just here, but most beings have been here for a very long time, and may have even been present during Lemuria and Atlantis. So just a moment. They're trying to fuck with me right at the moment, and I had to kind of try to regulate. They spend a lot of time trying to possess. They spend a lot of time trying to do that. And I'm constantly, and I try to constantly force them out. So back to what I was saying, please check what I am stating with your own heart and your blood and your cells, genetics, and DNA. And your heart, obviously. Your intuition and your heart. Or, I mean, maybe you should just ask the planet itself. Bear in mind, it will show you the veneer first. It might even go as far as to speak lies. If you were to ask about me directly. But what I would say is, maybe just ask for yourself. And again, as with any entity or being, always clarify intent and ask your hard, logical, critical questions before you fucking consent to anything. Before you drop to your knees in reverence you better clarify its true intent. What its goal is for humanity. Why it hasn't helped remove the parasites. And just asking that question, listen, and you have to make sure that you're speaking, if you're going to try and speak to that entity, guard yourself well and have your protection around you. And you might spend some time trying to determine if it's truly benevolent or truly malevolent first before you start really going close to it. And don't just get sucked into, you know, the standard answers and how it's just because they're coming across as a being of light or coming across as benevolent does not mean that they are either. And with so much fuckery and with so many entities pretending that they're something that they're not, and all these other groups of supposedly beings out, you know, all these other races that are supposedly benevolent, they talk a good game, right? They vomit a whole bunch of lies, but they don't ever follow through. And their messages are full of contradictions, and they never really assist. And then they always blame us as to why they can't assist. Yeah. Anyway, a bunch of contradictions and lies. So before you get too close to that entity, make sure you're determining true intent. When you ask your questions, make sure you're really focusing on and paying attention to not just the answers, but the behavior, the mannerisms, or I guess I shouldn't say mannerisms. What I'm talking about are like not mannerisms, but like tone of voice, responses, or time in between responses, how it answers you. You're looking just as you would with any human, being, you know, as if you're talking with somebody that you're not sure is on the up and up, you know, you're looking for cues. You know, are they lying? Do their eyes move to the side? Are they fidgeting? You're looking for small things that would be red flags in how it answers you. And if you need detail, like supposedly it should be the mother, right? Supposedly we're the children, and supposedly it's the mother, right? A mother should always be willing to answer questions, especially with the amount of horrificness and atrocity and horror that we have being forced on this planet by that species. We need fucking answers. We have every right to ask those questions. We have every right to know the answers so that we can protect ourselves as that entity is not doing so. So make sure whatever questions you have, you know, if you have detailed questions, that you need answers, and that you expect. You don't have to be rude about it, but you are needing detailed answers about what the fuck's going on here and how to better protect yourself. And if you start getting that feeling like that entity starting to make you feel bad for asking, right? Starting to be patronizing or mocking or becomes short with you, you know what? There are parasitic entities on the surface of the planet trying to fucking murder everybody. We have every right to know. and we need fucking answers. So enough with them demanding reverence. Fuck that noise. We don't have time for that. That entity hasn't done a fucking thing to assist humanity. Why not? What's your excuse? Right? What's its excuse? What reasons does it give? And do those reasons make logical fucking sense? Do they stand up to logic and critical thinking? So if you choose to go near that entity and start asking your questions, just really think about the things that I'm mentioning, because it may be that those things, that knowledge or that information might be helpful later on. And guard yourself well. I'm just saying, you can think it's the true benevolent being all you want. As I've said, I have been forcibly shown something different. So just do the best that you can, and just a moment, I have to regulate again. Okay, I'm so sorry for the delay. They seem to have a really big issue with this recording, more so than any of my other recordings. The things that they're forcibly trying to do to me right now. And I'm going to have to close out or yeah, I'm going to have to finish this up. I always try to be specific or very careful with my wording for other reasons. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else I was going to add. If what I stated is correct, or should I say it, if you feel, after you've checked into yourself, and if you feel that is the truth of things, now is going to be the best time to be pulling all of your being out of all AI systems, out of all technologies, out of the artificial frequency fence that surrounds this planet, out of all astral realms, out of all artificial realities, out of all clones. Make sure that you're pulling all of your being that you think has been raped from you out of all clones. Yeah, wow, they're really doing fuckery right now. It's because of how I'm saying things and the things that I'm saying, and that um, they still try and force magic uh, on the recordings for different. I don't even like to articulate it. I'll just leave it at they like to do fuckery. And I try to be careful. And they are doing so much fuckery right now. So I'm sorry, I'll try and finish this up. Now is going to be, depending on how you feel about things, you're going to want to be pulling all your stuff out of the planet, out of all its AI systems, out of the artificial frequency fence around the planet. Now is the best time to be doing that, right? I hope you're able to see why I'm, stating those things. It's still a good idea anyway, even if you believe something else. It's still something that's good to do. Anyway, because you always want all of your being with you all the time. Okay, so I think there may have been a couple other things, but I'll go ahead and say that please trust yourself. Do the best that you can to know yourself well. Trust your own intuition, trust your own heart. Trust that you have the answers within you. Trust your cells, your blood, your DNA, your genetics. Just don't always trust what's popping in your mind. As far as words, right? Words in the mind, that could be coming from anywhere. I mean, you really have to be know yourself really well to know when it's you and when it's not you. And know when you're being fucked with via frequency. And when that's your own, it's your own, you know what's yours and not yours. And you know what's fuckery and not fuckery. So do the best that you can. Trust yourself, love yourself, and be patient with yourself. And know that you are a powerful being. And that there are other entities, malevolent, parasitic entities that also seem to think the same thing because they're trying to always rape stuff from you. And they're trying to always rape stuff. They're trying to rape from humanity. Right? So obviously, that should be your obvious indication that we are very powerful beings. And it doesn't want anyone knowing that it's a parasite. Because we would all be fucking screaming to get out of here. And we would have no problem reaching universal laws. Which is why there's a manufactured, structured society, a structured reality, to keep everybody from screaming all at once. Okay, so do the best that you can, and just really make sure you're pulling all your stuff back to you. All right, till next time.